Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about occupational hazards in programming. So let's get into it. So the question in question here is basically, what are some things, like, what are occupational hazards of being a programmer? Um, there are a few. It's not like we're working on an oil rig or as a policeman officer person or similar, but we have a few things that I would say are noteworthy when it comes to doing software development. So the first, let's just get the things that should be fairly obvious out of the way. So just as any profession that works within an office culture, you should be aware of that your body can only take so much sitting before it starts decaying, basically. So a trend you see in most offices these days is things like ergonomic chairs and like standing desks, things like that, because that is of course something that is going to affect you. It is, I would say, fairly important. I mean, if you get to pick anything in terms of office supplies when you're going to work as a professional software developer, make sure that you get a good chair. That's number one. You need to sit well and, not slouch or anything like that, because you will develop aches and these stress syndromes for, like, your shoulders might start getting sore, your lower back, all of these different things, right? But I would say that this hopefully feels fairly obvious to you. So, I mean, you may not think so, but it's actually, as a software developer, a lot more important that you go to the gym and you work out properly and you do all these things than most other professions, because you're so sedentary that it's almost, I mean, you sit still more than the average person. So in my world, that basically means that you now also have to go to the gym more than an average person to kind of weigh up that. I'm not a medical professional, but that makes a lot of sense to me, right? But this is probably not as interesting as some other things that might be more easier to talk about. So this may not classify as a occupational hazard necessarily, but things that I've seen that come with being a software developer that could be considered a bit of a hazard and a bit of a problem for a lot of people are things such as stress-related injuries, or stress-related symptoms and injuries, and, well, I'm not sure if I would say diseases, but it could be handicaps, things like that. A lot of people, myself included, have some issues with tension pains, where you sit and stare at a screen for 8 hours a day for years and years and years and years, and you have deadlines and you have all of these classical things that produces some form of stress. And that starts to manifest itself in things such as may have muscle spasms or tension in your jaws or tension in your eyes get tired, you might need terminal glasses, things like that. You should take these things serious. And I know that it may not be the sexiest thing in the world to have a pair of glasses, like a big overt terminal glasses, but honestly guys, at some point it does, just do it. It is worth the investment, and it's going to be the thing that, well, it doesn't really affect you all that much in your everyday life, but if you don't take these things serious, you might just have this type of, you may have this problem just sitting around, and you spend every day in some form of numbness or pain or something like that just because you didn't take these things seriously. And I think it's better to do that than be lazy or not buy glasses or spend some time outside of not sitting at the computer every single day for all of the day is also things that you should consider. Just take care of yourself, right? Because once you get to the point where you have these issues, it's not really that you can come back from it. Because at that point, you're basically already invested. I mean, I remember when I thought that my career as a software developer was threatened by these sorts of pains because I didn't know any better. and that's not a very fun conversation. You can have with yourself. At least I didn't think this was fun. The prospect of thinking, okay, well, maybe this issue, this problem that I have would grow to a point where I'm actually physically unable to spend any time at a screen. What would I do instead? That's a very tough conversation when you really love your job and you want to stay in yours, to really continue doing it, right? So that sort of thing you can do. You can buy glasses and you can take better care of your eyes and sort of stuff like that. But then you have the stress-related stuff, and that is a lot trickier because, hazards that can come with this, or problems that you might face. We are getting to a point these days where two main issues contribute truly to this problem for software developers. And I wouldn't say that we have it much tougher than a lot of other professions. I would absolutely hate being a project manager or project owner, things of this nature, where if you are basically in just a constant state of stress all the time, it seems, at least from all the ones that I've talked to. But the things that you face as a software developer is that you need to produce on deadlines. There's tons and tons and tons of tools around. You're almost pushed on a daily basis into the sensation that you continuously need to adopt every single thing or learn every single thing, and you're supposed to be the expert and know all the things and so forth. And these things starts to pile up. And then you have, of course, in this day and age, we have high availability standards, which means that you might have to sign, or even worse, just get kind of roped into being on call for the system and basically be woken up in the middle of the night for no other reason that, hey, something went off at some alert somewhere, and then you need to fix it. It's kind of, it comes with the territory, right? That's not true for every company, but there are quite a lot of companies. And it's getting to a point where it's more a rule that the company, for a big software company or a software company, has an on-call policy. So you're always in that situation where you might need to go and check stuff out, right? And that brings us back to how important it is to do things correctly and write good code, because the better the system's quality and stability, the less time you spend waking up in the night and having to go to your computer and fix things, right? So I'm not sure if these are necessarily occupational hazards. There are professional hazards, I would say, and stress-related injuries and things of this nature that are fairly relevant for software developers. So what I want you to take away from this is that apart from the regular office problems that you might have, office hazards with sitting incorrectly or getting back injuries, shoulder injuries, wrist injuries, things like that, software developers, we spend almost all our time in front of a computer, of course, which means that you have issues with you can get nerve damage, your eyes can start going, you can have issues with, as I have, with facial muscles and tensions, stuff like that, which might be related to everything from too much time at the screen, and it can also be related to stress, where stress starts to build up to the point where you actually have physical manifestations of that problem. So yeah, you should take these things fairly seriously. They may not seem so important to somebody who is like 15 or 19 or something like that, but at some point it's going to start being relevant for you. So just watch out for the warning signs and listen to your body, and for the most part you're going to be fine. Have a great day.